Hey guys, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse Podcast. I'm here in the Resonant Link booth for our collaborative power series talks here at MODEX, and I'm joined by Jake Walker of DHL. He's a manager of.
Accelerated digitalization.
Oh, I messed it up. There we go. All right, but it's a pleasure to meet you, Jake, here in the booth.
Likewise.
All right. So why don't you give us a little intro about you? What does that role mean, and what does DHL do?
What I'm really focused on is driving innovation within our North American operations within DHL Supply Chain.
Yeah.
So DHL Supply Chain, world leader in contract logistics, huge presence here at MODEX.
Yeah,
And,
every conference, pretty much.
at every
Yeah,
conference, yes.
Yeah.
But very well known within the warehousing space. We've got over 2,000 buildings across the globe.
Yeah, and I've had some relationships with DHL too in my past career as well, as we were just talking about before we started recording there. So very, very prevalent in the industry,
Very
right?
much
And I think very prevalent too, and known for working with a lot of technologies, maybe for the first time or very early on in a lot of the providers that we see around here at MODEX. So why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of that automation side, how you guys approach your automation focus and how you think about going about that?
Yeah. So to us, automation and innovation is really core to our strategy.
Yeah.
We really see it as a differentiator, in the marketplace with our customers, but also with our workforce and our associates. We really strive to be that provider of choice in the marketplace. So in terms of where we're looking and where we want to automate, I think it really starts kind of on two fronts. One with our associates, what are they doing that's dangerous or boring or they don't want to be doing? And so we'll look to automate those places. Perfect example being our partnership with Boston Dynamics, working with them to co-develop Stretch from an unloading solution. Because we're in Atlanta now. Who wants to be in Atlanta in the middle of summer?
Nobody.
Unloading the container in 100-degree weather.
Brutal.
Yeah. So that's one front, and then the other is, where are we spending our time and energy? And that's really going to drive value for the business. So if we look at an operation, we spend a tremendous amount of time picking.
Right.
And so one area, it's no secret, it's known. We've got a very strong partnership with Locus. And that started
Most spots, I think,
with
deployed, right?
That started with one deployment, and we've since scaled with them not only across the region but globally, and we've got, I think, 3,000 bots deployed across our sites. So it's been another great success story for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so great too that you're able to be able to test some of those things, and like you said with the Stretch, I think you guys were the first with Stretch
we were.
too, right?
We were
commercialized. So really kind of on the forefront of getting these robots and automation within your operations, and really with that focus on the employee themselves, right?
Very much so.
And I think that's such a great way to lead, especially in the industry that we're in, because at the end of the day, and I'm curious your thoughts on this actually, as we look at automation, there's still very much a human element in our industry, right? So how much is that kind of still at the core? Even though we see that, DHL is partnering with this company, this automation company, how do you still maintain that focus on the human element too?
Yeah, I think everything we do in automation, the human's still at the core of it. It's all about amplifying the person, making their life easier, making them more efficient. There's a lot of great technology out there, but we're still ways away from any type of lights out warehouse. And our associates are our number one asset. And so how can we protect them? How can we have them doing things that are safer, have them doing things that are humans are a lot more, just better than machines? That's really where we like to focus.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. It's the right approach to take, and I agree with you. Lights out is, I think it's interesting because maybe 5-6 years ago, everybody's like, oh, lights out, right? And now it's like collaborative, like think about the human, right? And all these things. So it's changed a little bit. But I think that's more realistic, right? Like the human still needs to be there. The technology's not at that point yet, maybe someday, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's great that you guys are able to keep that focus. Now, I'm curious, as you start to look at these different technologies, and you're here at MODEX too, and they're all around. What are you looking for when you're looking to evaluate the next thing that maybe DHL is going to go after?
Yeah, so I think a few different fronts. When we've got a pretty mature process in terms of evaluating something, from research to testing and concepting an idea, to piloting it, to making it a product, and then going and scaling with it. And it really comes down to it's very process focused, around processes that we're doing within our four walls in our warehouses.
Yeah.
And in terms of what we look at next, it's very much use case driven. So, does that technology? Do we already have a solve in that product category? If no, easy conversation. Let's go explore it and see what you're doing. If we do, okay, what are you doing differently? What's your competitive advantage? And is it something worth testing that's going to bring value to our associates or our customers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'm curious, in that regard, as we're here at MODEX, what kind of technology is exciting to you, maybe that's new?
So I'd say two big focus areas for us this year, one being CasePick.
Okay.
We have a tremendous amount of labor and hours just manually handling cases. And it's hard work, right?
Yeah.
It's similar. Yeah, I would say it's the container unloading of the interior four walls.
You're basically unloading the rack, right?
Yeah, you're hauling heavy cases left and right. So that's a big focus. I still think a bit early from a technology standpoint, from a solution standpoint. The other really big area of focus for us now is orchestration. So now that we have these collaborative robots in our buildings, we've got all this data from our systems and we've got our people.
Yeah.
How do we kind of take those three and merge them together to make our operations even more efficient? So that's really kind of, I'd say, the two main focus areas for us right now.
Yeah, interesting. And I think, that orchestration is such a crucial thing now, especially as you're starting to bring all these different components together and all the building blocks, but how do you tie them together? How do you make everything communicate? How do you make it all integrate and flow seamlessly kind of in the operation, right? So when you bring in the solutions and you start to implement them, how do you navigate kind of the human element, right? Because there's that change management that needs to happen a little bit. So how do you guys approach that?
Yeah, I think it's really a part of our culture now. So as of now, within North America, we have a digital solution deployed at every single one of our sites.
Okay.
So associates are coming in day one, and they have a technology that's designed and there to make their lives easier, to make them more efficient.
Yeah.
So we're getting them started early. The other piece of it, we talked about earlier about collaborative robotics.
Right.
And it's that messaging of, the robotics are here to amplify and to make you more efficient. And so it's not a detractor of this is coming to take my job. It's this is going to make my life better.
Yeah.
And then I think it starts from communication early on. When we look at a new automation project, communicating with the site operations team, the associates on the floor, what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, what's going to change from day one to the future, and really bringing them along with the process and making them part of that feedback and design loop.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic because I think it is very important to have that element to it, right? Especially as you look at there's been like skepticism, right? Are robots going to take the job? What's this going to mean for me as a worker, right? And it's great that you guys have built that into the culture already. And I'm sure like at this point, the number of automations and robots that you guys have invested in, I'm sure the employees are kind of used to these changes happening and things happening like that and embracing it. I think you have a great point there about, letting them know that like this is going to make your job better, right? And that's such a key. So very interesting stuff with you here, Jake, and I really appreciate you coming here and talking to me.
Yeah.
So if people are interested in learning more about DHL and what you guys got going on, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, check us out on dhl.supplychain.com. That'll be our best resource.
Fantastic. All right, Jake, I appreciate the time.
Kevin,
great to talk to you.
Great to meet you.
You too.